thought I'd take you into a day in the life of my classroom. My students and I started a new painting. This is of a photo that I took of some beautiful peonies that grow in my yard. And I thought it would be really fun to just take some still life photos of it. I have a great field in the back of the yard, and it kind of served as a really nice backdrop. So I cropped this photo. The original photo was full view, you might say, all the flowers, but I cropped it because I liked having this open field on the right. I felt like the composition just worked nicely, having the flower kind of go off the canvas, and made it 11 by 14 size because we usually work in fairly standard sizing, whether it's 9 by 12, 11 by 14. And this was a good exercise because the point or object that we're trying to achieve is getting that feeling of light, that strong sunlight feel. And this setup is kind of backlit. You can kind of see that by the lighting here, but it's probably a little high enough to not only hit the flowers directly, but there is some back lighting going through the flowers where maybe it's not so dense. So what we're trying to achieve here is to get a strong feeling of the light versus the dark, and we want to try to keep it as simple as possible. I painted over another canvas, but I was really proud of my students because they actually got the white out of their canvas, and I got most of my underpainting painted over. And you really need to get that covered, whether it's another painting or the white, so that you have the relationships between one section to another. So we want to compare the light to the dark. We want to consider, where the warmth or cool factors come into play with this background tree line. And everything that we put down is an emphasis on the temperature of the particular object. So we factor in the color of the object and how the warm sunlight is affecting that color. So we exaggerate on a certain level with starting notes. Now, this is a little farther in with a little more detail, but typically we want to try to keep these shapes blocky. We don't want too much happening too fast. We want to get that first starting note. So by comparison, we look at things like this and we can see how much cooler this is to this over here. So a start note, because this is very much muted and kind of like in a shadowed type of situation, using what amounts to a complementary color, which is the purple having red in it. And to keep in mind that this is a green leaf in here. So when we paint over this, we will come in with a cool green that lays on top of this violet, and between the mixing that happens on the canvas and the laying on top of, which creates a vibration of color, it takes us to this muted green stage. But we want to keep things as simple as possible and find that color choice for that particular spot of color that we're going to eventually build on to get to what's called the local color, or the actual color of the object. But this helps to really stress the warms and the cools of this lighting situation. So I hope you enjoyed this. I will update with the next steps that we do. And my students have done a great job. I'm really excited with their first starts. So we'll keep you posted.